and get started. And let me start by sharing my screen. Let's see here. All right. First thing up, if you could please sign into the note sheet, that would be appreciated. That's another place that you can get the meetings for each week as well. There, it's like their community page. So if you're ever out of doubt, and this is they're correct, but yeah, it's not a one-click thing. Could I get a designated note taker for today?
I'm happy to do it.
I really appreciate that.
No problem.
Oh, okay, let's get into this. I don't see any new faces today, so I think that we can breeze right past that. Um, and we can hop right into outstanding RFCs. Um, I'm going to start with the only one that is currently uh, not drafted, and that is this add RFC for dependency mirrors. I think that what this is blocked on is my vote. I was had a hectic 2 weeks the past couple of weeks, so I've been in and out and haven't had a chance to look at this until this morning. I think that I have a pretty good understanding of what is going on here. Um, my only question, if there is somebody who is able to speak on this, is part of this RFC around this host name mapping. I maybe just need to go over this a couple more times. I'm not sure that I 100% understand the application of this. Like I vaguely understand the we have like our own proxy, and then the way that you map our proxy to this is we basically take all of this entire thing and jam it onto the proxy host. Fair enough. Uh I'm not entirely sure I 100% understand the host mapping. Um is this is this like is this like for node, if I was using some sort of like node proxy, I would need to set this up, or is this like I'm pulling from uh nodejs.org, and instead of nodejs.org pull from mirror example node dist slash original host? Or I'm not sure I 100% understand this yet. Does anyone have any insight on this?
So I'm not 100% sure in this either, but my understanding was like let's say Node's websites, the URL was some ridiculous URL and you wanted to, have your own name for it as opposed to um like right now, it's nodejs.org. But if you didn't like JS for some reason, but you wanted to mirror the site, you could say node.org, Or, an example here is like node dist to signify that it's specifically for the distribution of the node binary. So typically like with the mirror, the URLs would match. If you don't want them matching, I think that's w where this comes into play.
Okay, so
That's
this would be
that's
like
my understanding.
if I made a call, or like if I tried to download nodejs.org or whatever the route is, right? What it would actually do is it would route me to here as a base instead.
Yeah,
Like we're just
exactly.
acting as like it's a proxy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I guess it's basically the key thing is that you do it once and all of your dependencies go through that location.
I guess all of your dependencies that have this as a host name, because then they have like a default host name where like any other dependency that doesn't have the host name of like nodejs.org would go through the normal route then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can. So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's my understanding as well. Sorry, I was chewing something. But yeah, it's there is a default, and then if you want it, yeah, more control over the URL, then you would do these other ones.
And this would just be for the build pack, right? Like, because like in my brain, the only thing that I can think of where I would want to do that is like setting up like a node proxy, or like I have like a Mercury server or something like that, right? Like where I have like a hosted like node modules thing where you have to pull from it because all of the modules on there are verified or whatever. But that's not what this is. This is like downloads from the build pack.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was going to ask too. Like it's anything in Buildpack toml where you're downloading something, that's what you're replacing the URL for.
Uh
Uh, yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to look at that deeply as well, to see how the URLs are used separately.
my understanding is that this is like, yeah, a mapping directly for like the metadata in build pack toml. But maybe that was my preconception going into it. Yeah, because there is no option to override all dependencies. So I think this is just like dependencies.
Yeah, this
Uh,
is only dependencies that would be listed in the build pack. It's to override the URIs in the build pack toml.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, this would make sense. Actually, I should probably look at this because we'll probably start doing this too. Um, so yeah, this is good.
um, that's okay. I was talking to Dan a little bit about this, and I was saying like, is this not something that is potentially circumvented by decoupling dependency metadata? Um, and I think that his conclusion was this is different because it allows you to kind of like continue to like it would be like if you just had to get everything verified for like your own purposes, or you had a restriction on being able to having to host everything locally, and you had automation to pull all that in, and you wanted to continue to use like effectively the metadata that we put out, but you just have a mirror of it. You could just continue to mirror it. um, like if you had like an intranet, or you were running air grabbed with an intranet or something like that. Okay. Yeah, I my plan is to reread this like maybe one or two more times, and then uh hopefully this will be able to get through. Um, are there any updates on proposal to publish multi-arch build packs?
No, I actually will be looking at that this week. Like you, I have not had a chance to do stuff, but there's been a lot of traction in there, so I need to go and review Sophie's comments and review the original write up and just make sure that it's all lining up. But hopefully, I'm going to get it out of draft state, and then next week we can, maybe talk about it.
This morning, I looked at a PR to introduce a multi-arch build packless jammy builder. To introduce the workflow for that. So I have some questions about like just around, because the problem with it right now, unfortunately, is that the pack artifact is not obviously not quite ready yet, and it probably won't be released for a little while longer. But I'm trying to make sure that we don't have like a broken job or anything like that. So that's my only feedback right now.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sounds good.
And then on decouple dependencies from the build packs. I was thinking about this today. I'm hopeful to get something out by the end of the week. I think that I might continue to leave this open and just pull individual parts out of it, just because of how huge it is. I think that trying to like reconfigure it is probably a bit of a fool's errand at this point. I want to leave it here for kind of like posterity's sake, I guess. But or until we have basically what this is accomplished done and then close it out. I think that what I really would like to do coming up next is really just strip back a lot of the interface question and basically say that like the interface for this is that we release a tarball, and inside that tarball there's a metadata file with which has dependencies in it. And if you like you can go out and down like how you get that on into your build pack build process is up to you. I think that what I would say is if you're online, just go ahead and go out and download that tarball. And if you're offline, then probably, or if you're trying to supply like your own custom thing, I would say go ahead and I'll probably come up with some sort of like bindings interface. But I haven't figured that out yet. So yeah, that's all I have at the moment. Do we have any other questions on any of these as they stand? Gotcha. Okay. In that case, next up, CNB updates and questions. Jericho, you might be a good person to ask, although it sounds like you've had less time to be able to work on some of the multi-arch stuff. Do you have any inkling on how long until the next pack release that might include the multi-arch work?
Yes, I do actually. So we the holdup has been that there's like two contributors have contributed like this manifest work, and so we're having to kind of like merge those two together, and so that's kind of the holdup right now. And so Juan this morning like started merging them together, and he's kind of figuring out the integration test failures or whatever, like trying to figure out how to get both code bases to work together. But that's also blocking the. I have another project where we're going to be doing build kit, pack build with build kit. So that's kind of like blocking that too. So basically, we're working on getting that closed out as soon as possible. So I don't know when the next release, like when this is going to make it into the next release, but we are trying to get this into the next release pack as soon as possible. So it's definitely like a high priority issue for CNB.
Makes sense. Other CNB updates. I the only one that I saw that is potentially interesting is there's the CNCF sorry was it KubeCon? The KubeCon talk that was done by several members of the CNB community is out. It's a thing that you can go check out. I don't know. It seems a bit like a bit of an intro talk, so I don't know how much anyone here is going to glean from an intro talk about build packs. But you know, if you were curious or you needed to tell your grandma what you do or whatever. Project updates. The only project update that I could think of off the top of my head would be the work to get out a multi-arch build packless builder for Jammy. That should hopefully be out soon. That's like a pretty high priority for me to try and get that out because that will hopefully unblock multi-arch build pack work, because you will have the stack and then you will have the thing that has to contain the stack to be able to test the build packs, and then you're getting close to cooking with gas at that point.
I just thought of something actually. CNB update that might be relevant. So right now you guys are still using stacks, right? Like the metadata, the TOML files have a stack ID in them. You're not using targets yet?
Yeah, at the moment.
Okay, cool. So it's very likely that like the multi-arch stuff is going to be supported when you switch over from stacks to targets. I don't know if that does. I don't think that means you don't have the stacks in there, but I think once you add the targets, it's going to start setting a platform architecture correctly and like basically allowing all this stuff to work. Because there's some stuff that right now will be, at least when you do pack build, it will be kind of a blocker. So we like the stack deprecation may come into play here. That doesn't mean you need to completely deprecate them, but it just means you might need to introduce targets and have them both so you can support both.
Yeah, so the only question that I have about that is I don't know that I functionally understand. I don't know that I functionally understand what actually we change, because at the end of the day, I feel like we still release a builder, and that builder has a build image and a run image in it, and those build and run images happen to be paired together in some construct that is going to stay relatively similar to a stack. I guess the thing that would allow you to do that is you could shift around your build and run images a little bit more. But like I think that like what we're gonna have to do is they allow you to have like a target ID or something like that. They allow you to append a thing, and we'll probably use that for like our flavors in the interim if there's something that's important, like full and tiny and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I understand what actually changes about the artifacts that we release, and I don't think that anything does.
No, I don't think. The only thing that I think the only difference is that like a life cycle will read the TOML file and be like, oh, there's a target ID in here, so I can use this to make some decisions. But to your point, I don't fully understand it either. So like as I work through this stuff, I have a PR that I wrote that doesn't factor all this in, but I have to go and factor it so that it does. And so I'll probably learn some stuff along the way, but just something in coming in the future. That we'll need to just, it may just be you're adding something to the TOML files and stacks will stay there. And then at some point further down the line when everything's working and everyone's happy, then we can remove stacks. But for now, stacks aren't going away. It's just, we just need to add something for the targets.
That makes sense. And I think that the metadata PR that we put in takes into account the new sort of architecture, OS, that whole breakdown. I think it took into account the loss of stacks. So
yes,
I think we should be good. Realistically, this only affects like 14 build packs or something like that, all of the dependency providing build packs.
no, it's going to affect everything because you're compiling stuff.
Right, sorry, right. But I think for a lot of build packs, what we're going to be able to do is go in and basically say like, target is, I guess until target is like Linux AMD
Yes.
64, and then when we actually cross compile it, we will add, or we'll have to change it for whichever variant to Linux ARM 64 as well.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, once we have it all worked out, we'll do it in one, try it out, make sure we're happy with it, that it works, and then you can roll it out to the rest. But it's not not quite there yet, but coming down the line.
Gotcha.
That'll be
something. Are there any other project updates that people have?
The one thing I'd ask about, and I think Costa Sprang brought it up last meeting when I wasn't able to make it, is still seems to be a problem of updating the dependencies. And I know he said some people were going to take a look. I haven't had a chance to catch up, but it's probably worth just seeing if anybody's been thinking about that, has a path forward.
Which dependencies is this?
Like basically the I see jobs like bump the Go modules group with 29 updates. Like I'll share my screen just quickly if that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
Hold on. I got you. The Go modules are something that we're looking into right now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, there's some issues with like the particular libraries that I think is holding up some of this.
Yeah, it was like one of them was deleted. Like one of the dependencies was deleted, and therefore, like what Costas explained to me is like there was a dependency that was deleted, which is used by some of the things we were trying to update to new versions. He also figured out that there is like an immutable repository that Go maintains that would have a copy of that, but the tool we use to generate the updates doesn't support pointing to that repository instead of the default Go one. So like we're kind of stuck in that, like it's trying to update to something and like the thing's gone. And the tool, unfortunately, would be a simple fix if the tool could just say point to this other repository, but you can't.
Yeah, I haven't looked into this. I know that there are a couple people looking into this. I haven't
Okay.
looked into this closely at all. I've also been a little bit spotty on the past couple of weeks, so I don't have a big update on that for you. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious if nobody here had been in the loop, then I'll go see if I can find any issues they're talking about it.
I thought of something for the Node.js community here. So my colleague created a PR into the Node engine build pack to add star stacks. I don't know if you saw that, Michael.
Yes.
So the thing is it, is that going to be included on any dependency updates going forward? Like, are we going to have to do PRs? I guess what I'm trying to do is prevent the need for that going forward.
I think I asked that same question to Costas because he opened up a PR to fix it. Like, I think, you know, the PR landed, then the automation came in and clobbered it. And what he explained to me is the automation would leave that in the future. It's just because of the timing. Like the PR to change it was open before the one to add the star landed it, and that's why it clobbered it. And so the next time it should just leave it there.
Okay.
That was I had the exact same question. Like, do we need to fix the updater? And the answer I got was, nope, should be okay. It was just a timing issue. Next time it will update the right way.
Okay, cool.
And we'll have to, like, next PR that gets auto-generated, we should probably keep a note to ourselves to take a closer look and make sure that that's actually the case.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, if we have to do another one manually another time, that's fine. As long as we're not fighting with the auto updater.
I did wonder about that a little bit. I might ask here. Like, if I remember, and this may be remembering wrong, I think at one point, were we building Node ourselves on like Jammy or the platforms, or are we just using the community binaries?
I think for Bionic, we built Node, but that is no longer the case, if I understand.
Okay. Because like if we're using the community ones, then like a star makes total sense because like the community ones are meant to run on anything as long as libc is modern enough. But if we were actually building it on like an Ubuntu, it wouldn't. So it sounds like I did remember seeing that, but it no longer applies. So that's good.
Awesome. Are there any open mic questions or discussion topics that people would like to get into?
I have one. So I already talked to Dan in kind of Slack about updating proc files, so there's going to be a PR coming for that. And then, Mike, you don't have to take notes yet.
Okay.
I kind of ramble on here, but I'm thinking of creating a build pack that will basically like download stuff based on an environment variable. So like you set an environment variable and it will just pull in whatever files you want, because I've noticed a pattern where developers will like pull in jar files that they want to have, but it's not like necessarily available from Maven or something, like Maven Central. So like, first of all, like, I don't think that exists already, like in the community, or does anyone know about anything like that? No. Okay. And then I guess the question is like I was just going to build this for myself internally, but like, is there any interest in this stuff externally? Like, whatever.
I think this is something that we've proposed doing in the past, and the reason we've not done it is because we didn't have a strong enough use case, and has the potential to be a relatively powerful foot gun, just sort of allowing developers to download whatever they want into what is theoretically like a well vetted image. Um, it also introduces like issues with like making sure that those things end up in the bill of materials and that sort of stuff. If it were something that we had that was like purely experimental or something that stayed in the like the Paketo community and is like a this is a this is not our 100% recommended way of building, but if it's the thing that gets you out of the jam, it's the thing that gets you out of the jam. um so that would be my only sort of piece on
Yeah,
that.
I agree with that.
It just it has the it's one of those things where like you know, when we download a dependency, like it's something that like we're trying to make sure that we're getting it from well verified sources, and we validate that the artifact that you download is the same one that you meant to download. And we do like we do a couple checks here and there, but yeah, it's one of those things where like I don't know how common it is that like I want to be able to just provide like a file of a list, or like a list of files that I want downloaded from the internet, and then like sort of beyond that, where did they go? Like where do they go on the image? Like do they all get installed into like the like a bin folder in a layer, or do they all get installed into like how do they get installed into the layer is another issue. And then like I think the final sort of nail in the coffin, which is why this has never become like a production build pack, is like how do how do I cache any of this in a sane way, right? Like how do I verify that I'm getting the same images without putting a lot of work on the end user of being like, yeah, you have to get like the checksum, you have to get the version, you have to get like all this sort of stuff, right? Like how do we verify we're doing any of that correctly? So I don't know that it would ever be like an officially supported build pack, but we have plenty of build packs that we use in almost every build pack repo that aren't officially supported. Build plan is a great example of that, and you can do a lot of cool and powerful things with the build plan build pack, but we kind of are like, yeah, I mean, like you probably shouldn't be playing with this if you're trying to build production images and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
How would
Yeah.
it be like, how would it help you versus just putting those things that you want into your app? Right? Because
Yeah.
those get copied into your image as well, right? And if you just put them in a tree underneath your app directory, they'll get copied in.
This would be like in the workspace, like copied right into the workspace. But it's more about like, let's just say today you're using, I don't know, Datadog, and tomorrow you want to be using a different logging, uh, system. So like today you might need to download some jar for Datadog, and tomorrow it's like Sumo Logic or whatever. I'm not sure, but like this is something where your app code works, but like you're just injecting some jar just for tracing or for logging or for whatever, right before you build it and run it. Again, like I'm kind of like learning as I go, but when you see developers doing certain things, you're like, why are you doing this? And maybe it makes more sense to say, go put this in your POM file, but maybe it doesn't make sense because then your POM file is pulling in a dependency that you may not necessarily actually need. So I don't know.
The another thing that I would be interested in is do can the user provide like an execd file where like you could theoretically just in that execd file before the app starts pull in anything that you wanted at that point? I felt like at one point that was something that a user could do. Like you could have your own profile, or I guess now execd scripts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I was playing around with execd, and I'm not 100% sure how it works, mostly because like there's this like file descriptor input and output that I'm not quite sure how it works.
That's fair.
And I was looking for some documentation on it, and like the documentation
It's
still
rough.
wasn't enough for me.
Yeah.
Forrest, what you described sounds to me like it would run when your app ran versus when you built the container.
Yeah, but if it's getting downloaded into the workspace, I don't know that it matters either way, right? Like what I was worried about is like a lot of the stuff that I would be more concerned about in terms of like running during. I mean, it would slow down the startup of your app, absolutely, because it would happen at launch time, and so if that's something that would concern you, then that's something to be worried about. But that I think that a user, regardless of a build pack, could provide something like an exec descript, and as long as it didn't need to go into something like a layer, it would be fine. I don't 100%. This might be also I might be thinking of something else or something that existed 3 years ago that doesn't exist anymore or anything like that. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But
I wouldn't want to introduce just a network dependency as like, oh, okay, now it tries to download, fails, versus like during your build pack build, you know you've downloaded, installed it, so now your builder is, and your image that you've created is going to be good. So I don't know, it just seems different enough.
and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where like Jericho, if you wanted to make a build pack that did this, and then you come to us and say, every developer I know likes to like once this uses this build pack, or I've seen X use cases, then you could either keep it as that, or you could donate it to the Paketo community or whatever. I think it could be pretty informal.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I haven't written anything yet, but I just wanted to kind of like talk about it, and like this discussion is good because it's. I mean, these are good questions that I should also ask, you know, developers if they're doing something like this. Like, do we absolutely need to do it this way? And if so, then that's a use case.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd still be like, why not just put it into the project and
yeah.
then you version control. Like, I mean, unless it's like they're too big, or I don't know, like something you could do today.
Yeah.
But I mean, if
I
they're
guess I'm
jar
Yeah.
files, they're not going to be massive, are they?
jar files.
I guess it could
Yeah.
be, but like,
No, I mean, it's a good question. I don't know. Like, I was thinking of one where, like even a database client I've seen being pulled in. I'm like, why? Or database jar? Like, why wouldn't that just be in the POM file? But
Well,
yeah,
it doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, sometimes, people can think of, like you said, people can think of use cases that we just never thought of, and there might be something to it.
yeah. Okay, yeah. I'll go do some kind of research on my end, and then yeah. Anyways, I was mostly just looking for some input here, so I appreciate all the thoughts. And yeah, sorry, Mike, Michael, you have to write all that down. Just say Jericho had a crazy idea.
I'm just going to say some discussion about ideas he's been thinking about.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't you
If
don't need to
anybody's
pull up.
interested, they can go watch the video, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's all I had. Sorry, I kept rambling there. I appreciate all the input.
no good. Hey, is there anything else? No?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. See ya.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.